Reviving America's heartbeat, the Gun Show VIP edition unpacks the invisible giants of manufacturing. Welcome to the Gun Show VIP edition, where we shine a spotlight on the unsung heroes of America's economy, the manufacturing industry. Often invisible, always indispensable, manufacturing is the backbone of our daily lives. Yet, it's an unsung industry facing its toughest challenges yet. From the coffee maker that starts your day to the car that takes you home, every piece of story of American genius behind it. We stand at a crossroads where the decisions we make today will either anchor our legacy as a world manufacturing leader or see us fall behind. We don't want to do that. It's time to roll up our sleeves, reimagine our factories, and bring manufacturing home, proving that the spirit of American manufacturing is alive and well, because when we invest in our people and our technology, there's nothing we can't create. Join us on this journey to transform the invisible into the invincible. All right, now that we've gotten through the serious introduction, which I like very much, and we try to change every week to make it entertaining, we move into the entertainment section that most people roll their eyes about, including my main man, Christian, over here, with a bad joke of the day. And not only do we have a bad joke today, Christian, I see you shaking your head. Oh no, here it comes. We have 3 bad jokes of the day, and you actually can answer for me, I believe, today. So turn on your microphone, get ready, give me your worst guess. For those of you listening, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'm not sure if you can leave comments on Spotify, but if you can, Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, the website, MTDCNC.com, leave your comments. I want to hear what you think or thought the answer would be to these terrible, terrible jokes. All right, the first one is, how do you explain the importance of manufacturing to a group of kids?
I don't know.
Yeah, we never do because they're that bad. But the answer, you're going to be like, yeah, that would do it. Just turn off the Wi-Fi and watch how quickly they realize who makes all their routers.
That's a fact.
That is a fact.
That applies to me too.
Yeah, we're all like, what the hell, when our phones go down for 5 seconds. Second bad joke of the day. Why don't people think manufacturing is cool?
I don't know why.
Well, you probably have your own reasons, non-joking wise, and you're trying to help us with that. But because it's like the air we breathe, essential but invisible, until it's not there, and then everyone's gasping. And that doesn't really make me laugh, though. That's more like a fact. That's not a joke at all. Why did I even put that in there? Okay, third one and last one. Why do people underestimate manufacturing?
Got nothing.
Yeah,
These are really tough for me. I don't know why. These are so tough.
I wouldn't be able to guess them either. You know, I would not, because none of them really make sense. None of them are really that funny. So third one answer is because it's easier to add to cart than to understand how it got there in the first place. But
Actually not bad. That might be one of the better ones.
Okay, well, at least we had a decent one. So with that being said, let's thank our friends at MTDCNC. They are the power behind what we're doing here at the Gun Show. And let's thank our sponsors. We actually added a new sponsor this week. But before we get to that new sponsor, let's go ahead and thank AMT. Big part of IMTS. We're very excited about that coming in September. I know my guest today is very excited, along with hundreds of thousands of people that'll be joining us for that show. So if you're not planning to go, we highly recommend it. I'd love to give you some high fives. We can take some pictures, whatever you want to do. We'd love to see you. And then the second one, EBITDA Growth Systems. This is a consulting company that's really turning lives around, letting people go home to their families on the nights and the weekends instead of busting their butt trying to make even in manufacturing shops. And something I find fascinating, I say it on this show a lot, is that their guarantee is that they'll double your profits within 3 years. And that, to me, is incredible. Almost makes me want to start a mediocre shop, see if they can double it, and then make good money. But that would be a real weird investment to make. There's other better investments, so I'm not going to do that. But thank you, EBITDA Growth Systems. And today, in addition, we actually have what's called Shop Floor Coffee. Now, Shop Floor Coffee is a company that is taking its proceeds and dedicating it to manufacturing, allowing associations to do kind of what they want with the profits. I have personally decided I'm not going to take any profits from this whatsoever. If you guys decide to utilize Shop Floor Coffee, a percentage of what you buy will actually go into a fund to support the educational side of manufacturing, to get out there and get into the middle schools and the high schools and those folks that are out there not even knowing much about manufacturing at all. So we're collecting a pool. There's a true lack of resources on the education side where we potentially and discussionably might need the most resources, and we just don't. So Shop Floor reached out to me. Shop Floor Coffee reached out, and we kind of had a heart to heart, and that's where my heart is figuring out how to educate that side of things. And I've been working on that for 3 or 4 years, trying to figure out how to be financially responsible and get into MTD into these locations. So IMTS, we have some big plans coming up as well. So Shop Floor Coffee, I do have a code. I don't have it memorized. I'm not sure what the code is. You can get a 10% discount. I'll have my buddy Joe Amos throw the code into the video itself. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can have that code. So I've talked enough at this time. So I'm going to introduce my guest today. My guest is a good friend. Been a friend for a few years now. Was actually one of the big believers of MTDCNC when we brought it to the U.S. In fact, I believe it was the first partnership that we had in the U.S. So my heart is extremely grateful. And this young man has also chosen to play 3 games with us today. So we're going to do Would You Rather, Rapid Fire, and 2 Truths and a Lie. We do those at the end, so please stay tuned for those and leave your comments at the end as well. So without any further ado, please welcome my good friend, Mike Larson, Marketing Director at HAINBUCH America. His marketing philosophy is market what makes you different. So Mike, I've talked a lot, but thank you so much for being here. Welcome back to the Gun Show, my friends. This is the VIP edition.
Very, very happy to be here and kind of thrilled that you invited me. So I appreciate it. And the VIP experience is just what it's cracked up to be. I felt like royalty here.
Oh, I like that. And I'm going to ask you more about what that experience is like because I want the audience to know what it means to be VIP. Because we have a couple different packages on the Gun Show. We have Standard Edition and VIP Edition, and VIP is just so much fun. But before we get to that, as a part of the VIP Edition, you have chosen a delicious bourbon today. And do you have a toast you'd like to share with the audience as we enjoy this tasty treat throughout the show?
Yes. I think over the course of my career, I've met and stayed friends with so many colleagues. And to this day, the best people you work with, even across the ocean to Germany, it's to my colleagues all around. I mean, the ones I work with, engineering, inside sales, to Marbach, Germany's marketing department, to my friends that'll be friends forever. So here's the colleagues.
Yes, here's to all the colleagues out there, and we appreciate you as well, Mike. So, we try to make it sound as good as it tastes. So those of you who are listening and not watching right now, you go, "Damn, that does sound good. I want some of that too." And it is good. It's delicious. It's a great choice bourbon. So let's get into this, Mike. We usually start this thing with learning about your journey. We talk a lot about manufacturing. Today we're going to talk on the marketing side of manufacturing. There's certainly discussions for how manufacturing on the marketing side has been kind of stagnant and or let's just say likes the comfort zone, likes to know what's going on without branching outside of that. So we'll get to discuss that a little bit today. And you come from a background of real creativity. So let's build that foundation a little bit of how you got to where you are today as the director at HAINBUCH for marketing, and what you've enjoyed along this journey, because I know you've owned your own businesses as well. So let's kind of go back in the day. Let's reminisce a little bit about how we got to where we are now.
It was a strange journey, just jumping back and forth. And I know, like you, I was not sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I had something to offer from the creative end of things. And I went to Milwaukee College for commercial art way before digital. And so you're doing drawing, you're doing airbrushing, you're learning all these things. And at the meantime, I was working in just a grocery store. And it was a chain in Wisconsin, 90 some stores, and they were looking for a designer for their weekly advertisements. So it's like, okay, why don't I do that? So actually the owner of the store recommended me, and I did that for about my first 9 years. And from there I branched out a little bit and outdoor power equipment marketing department to Huffy Sports, which is basketball systems. I loved basketball. I thought, oh, this is great, Only did that for a few months when this gentleman, it's a hard story, but one thing led to another, and these guys I never met invited me to their building, and it was a European machine tool distributor. And I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what they did. I didn't know what machine tools were. And he looks at me and I introduces himself and says, I'm going to say Dean Benzine. That's who it was. He says, would you like a job? I'm a little laid back. What do you mean? Would I like a job? I got a job. I like my job. And he says, yeah, but I hear some good things about you. And I go, I know nothing about this. I'm looking at parts. No idea. I can teach you that.
Can I pause you for just a
Yes.
second, just on that subject itself, because that to me is an intriguing concept, because there's so many people, as I started this thing off going, I don't know how things are made. What was it like? Can you remember that moment of what it was like to really feel like you had no idea about what you were looking at, but you were asked to, do you want a job and do you want to market it? What was that like?
You don't have the right guy. I was just like, there's no way. He goes, I can teach you this. And just the way he said it with such confidence, I was like, what does this guy know about me? I'd never met him before, but he heard. I still don't know what he heard. I'll have to ask Dean one day.
Whatever you told him, right?
Yeah, probably. And I said, well, I was kind of busy with things, and I said, tell you what, I'll come back in 2 weeks, and, I got this project. I'm not going to bail on him, and why don't I come back in 2 weeks and give me an offer? And he did, and I was like, okay, so let's start this journey in manufacturing. But he also said, because I said I also wanted to do my own thing one day, so I'm not really sure I want to make a move. And again, without hesitation, he goes, what if I help you with that?
Help you do your own thing.
Yeah, help me. And I go,
But so he
Right.
wants to hire you and help you do your own
Yes.
thing in the same. Okay,
Yeah, if
what a
you-
nice guy.
Yeah,
I see why you saluted
yeah,
him.
Yeah. So and I said, what do you mean? And he says, well, you come work with us for a couple of years. If you still feel you want to do that, we'll set you up. You can start here in an office here. We'll be your first customer.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah,
If
you
it's
don't
too
hear that
good to
every
be
day.
True, Mama told me.
Right.
So I'm just like, okay. And I enjoyed it, and I learned so much. I still remember going to the Wisconsin show the first time, seeing a rotary transfer machine, just going, what the hell? It's like, this is incredible. You don't have any idea what this is like. Then I go to my first IMTS, and
Which was when?
2000.
Wow.
2000 was the first IMTS.
That's incredible.
And I was just like, wow, this is unreal. And there was a big learning curve with marketing. And I thought I could just, we'll get TPS's name. It's TPS International was the company. No longer around. It's a shame because they're a great company. Got to meet a lot of people, and still to this day, I just burped some of this bourbon.
That's all right. That's how we know it's good. They say when you burp, it's compliments to the chef, right?
Yep, there's a little oaky taste in this one. So, but a lot of them, I stayed in touch with because, again, colleagues. I stay in touch with these people. They're lifelong friends. And it led to, like, okay, maybe I want to try doing my own thing. So Dean helped me start my own agency. It was called Creative Buzz, after my grandpa Buzz. And I did that for about 12 years. And one of my past friends, colleagues, came knocking on my door and said, hey, would you like to do some work for us? I'm now president at HAINBUCH America. And I wasn't familiar with HAINBUCH at the time. And, we started, and he kept on saying, we could use a marketing person. I'm going to be hiring one. Are you interested? And I, probably 6 months, I said, nah, I kind of like my own thing, and then after a little while, I was like, it's a good product. I know I'm getting to know this product. And that was one of the main reasons, because the product is so good. I always say I don't need to use smoke and mirrors from a marketing standpoint. You just have to get the word out, and the word will get out.
I think that's important, and I agree with you 100%. It's so much easier to talk about something when it's quality.
Yes.
And I'm not sure about you, but I used to do a door-to-door sales thing, and I used to feel guilty every time I sold something because I didn't really feel like I was giving them something that was, I feel like I kind of like duped them a little bit, and I felt real, and I quit that job almost like a month and a half into it. I just was horrible. I would go home going, well, I sold more than anyone else, but that means I duped more people than anyone else as well. And you're right, HAINBUCH is that product. When you think of the work holding alternatives that are out there, I mean, you're the pinnacle. I mean, that is the pinnacle of success.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so fun. And but when I first started here, now in Europe, they were very well known. Everybody knew who they were. And here, Mr. Rawl probably won't like me saying this, but the joke was HAINBUCH instead of HAINBUCH. We are so far past that.
Yeah, and it's not like that at all anymore.
Oh,
You
my
guys are
goodness.
having record years,
Yeah,
from what I
and
understand.
We did a survey, and there was less than 2% brand awareness with our product in 2010.
Man, am I allowed to cuss on this show? I feel like that deserves a bad word. Oh, holy moly is what I'm going to use.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and from there, it's like, I was looking at what they were trying to do, and they were trying to do it from Germany. And it's like, I think, HAINBUCH America at the time, I'm going to say his name, Hank Cole, who's just a brilliant, brilliant man. He said, what do you think we need to do? And I'm just like, we need one message, clean, concise message that
And repeat it
over and over, and it's going to take years. The same thing over and over and over. And as much as I want to take credit for a campaign, I got to give one of our sales reps props. I'm going to drop. I'm a name dropper.
I love it. I'm shameless about it. I drop all the names you want to, my friend.
So I'll be dropping your name occasionally too.
I'm not mad at that either.
So Larry McMillan, who's since retired, just a phenomenal sales guy. Everybody wanted Larry, but Larry also stayed for the product. We were trying to come up with a campaign to quickly show what our adaptations do, because that's what made us different, these adaptations. And it was brought to my attention today, tonight, and tomorrow. I said, damn it. I like it.
What makes you like that one so much? What does that stand for? What does that mean?
Basically, it's how fast you can change over. You can have your collet chuck or collet chuck, for OD clamping, change over within 2 minutes. You got an ID mandrel, change over 2 minutes. You can expand your diameter with the 3-jaw module. And this is brilliant. So I ran with it. So I like to say I made it my own, but it's always Larry's. I'll always give him credit. Credit where credit's due. So, and we did that. And like I said, I think I asked you if you remember that, and you said, of course you do.
Of course, yeah.
So, and we just hammered it everywhere we went, whether it's trade shows, magazine. Obviously, magazines were much bigger. And I think it ran its course very nice. Brand awareness was coming on, so we could start to expand. And then we brought in some of the other unique products, like our Tall Plus hex clamping system. Nobody else does the hex like we do. Nobody does it at all with the 25% more clamping force, which I know you are.
Yeah, quite familiar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, if it's okay with you though, I'm gonna stop
Yes.
you for just a second, because what I want to do is I'm gonna talk to the audience, and Christian, thank you for switching the cameras over here, because we have such a large audience, Mike, and they're global audience, and people are paying attention. So I want to make sure that when we talk about something as significant as a HAINBUCH product, we're not speaking over top of somebody, while some people will certainly speak underneath because they already know, right? But I want to just make sure for people out there, Christian joins me on this show on a regular basis. He gets to learn about all these different products, but we always have to break it down in its simplest form. So if you're listening right now, if you're new to manufacturing, if you're outside of manufacturing, if you're trying to learn about what quality we're talking about now, the buzzword is HAINBUCH, but what the heck are we talking about? Imagine you're gonna turn any block of material into anything that you're trying to create. It could be something as cool as what's sitting on our desk right now with all these cool parts. It could be medical that goes into your body. It could be aerospace that goes, into space, to be redundant. It could be, the doctor's components when you walk through the hospital. It could be the components that go into your car. You're gripping a piece of material in the simplest form, and that's what HAINBUCH does. They hold that material tight for you. They hold it in unique ways. They have more patents than just about anyone else, if not anyone else, to be creative for these people machining things. And they do it in such a way with such accuracy, precision, reliability, rigidity, that it helps the people making things reduce cycle times, extend their tool life, even extend the life of their machines, and ultimately reduces secondary operations, third operations. But just imagine a simple block of material. It could be aluminum, steel, brass, gold, platinum, you name the material, and you want to make something from it, they're holding on to it. And it could be square, it could be a weird shape, it could be circular. Use your imagination for what you'd like to make today, but HAINBUCH in its simplest form is a work-holding component that holds things so it can be turned into something else that's usable later on. And is that probably the most broken down way to say it, Mike?
Yes, and I am so guilty of doing that all the time.
Me too.
Because
Me
we
too.
live in this world. We
Yeah.
think people understand Chuck. What's a Chuck? And
It's a name. It's a
Yeah,
person. I got a good friend named Chuck.
yeah, I know a few too. Chuck Norris is a good friend. Not really. But
Be cool if it was,
Yeah,
though.
it
You'd be
really
cooler if it did.
Chuck knows Chucks. I actually wrote his agent at one time.
Did you really?
Yes. See if we could get him to do and he would have been, but a little bit out of my budget.
You don't want to say. Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine.
Chuck knows Chucks. I could see it. Ooh, okay. Anyways, can't tell me that would be cool.
It would be amazing. It would be amazing.
So, yeah, I get caught up in that a lot where we're so used, and I think so many people do. You get so used to your product, it seems like second nature to you.
And we assume everyone understands from the
Yes.
same level that we're trying to
Yes.
convey the message.
Even if I'm talking Photoshop or something like that, I live and breathe, I love it. It's one of my favorite things. And I'll just be talking about, whether it's dots per inch or CMYK or RGB, just the old, and people are looking at me, it's just a file. It's just a digital file. Okay, don't worry about it. So you think everybody knows it, but it's needs to be explained. I think sometimes, like you're explaining it to a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And and that's what I'm not afraid to say that. Explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old. I say that a lot if I'm not getting something. And a lot of times with our engineering people, they do the same to me.
They're brilliant.
Oh, they're so smart.
Yeah.
And I just say, okay, I kind of understand, but break it down a little easier for me.
And since we're talking about marketing today, and I still haven't forgotten some questions I want to ask you about IMTS in 2000 to today, and growing up with 6 brothers and the newness of going into a new industry. I want to get into all that, but you're correct. The engineers are brilliant. We know that everything around us is made by manufacturing, and yet people like you and I who work on some of the marketing things at this point of our careers, there's a disconnect. And I would make the discussion, I think Christian would probably agree as he sits behind most of these, is that we do talk sometimes at a level assuming that people go, well, I know what they're and the people in our industry, they get it. They love it. They want us to give more numbers. Well, how accurate are you? How many microns, how many tenths are you? And they want that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with wanting that stuff, but connecting to a broader audience means that we must explain these things in a fun, sexy, convenient, easy to understand type of way, right?
Yeah, and I remember when I first started, everybody's talking microns. I go, what's a micron?
Yep.
It's like I was never taught, even though I ran a manual lathe back in high school, which was really cool. I loved it. I remember that experience. But you need to really break it down.
It's something very, very small.
Yes. Yeah. And I've made diagrams to like students, because let them understand what a micron is. And you show like a diameter of a human hair and this little dot in the middle. That's a micron.
Yeah. The dot of a human hair is a micron. Imagine that. And we're keeping tolerances to make sure that things stay within that tolerance.
Yes.
And for the people out there listening and watching, change the temperature of a room by a degree, and you've changed a few micron in tolerance. Imagine that. Imagine the sophistication that must go into coolant, keeping a tool cool, and the machine spindle spinning at 20,000 RPM and stay in the same temperature in order to machine something at a micron or more. Just a little around a micron. I mean, it's fascinating.
I'm just blown away by the technology of all of this. But then when you start thinking about it, when you're in an airplane, aerospace, you kind of want those tolerances to be met, don't you?
We were just talking about your flight here and how sometimes that makes you nervous, right?
Yeah, well, it was a little bumpy coming in, It's like, you kind of look at everybody else, or he's not too experienced. One guy's just on a cell, he just keeps going, playing the game, and it's like, okay, I'm good.
That's right.
So, yeah, that one was a little rough, but, you want to trust medical.
Yes, medical maybe for me at least as we're both aging, getting a little older.
Oh, stop!
Please be good. Please don't send that giant screw into my hip to fix my hip. I want to be able to walk in 6 months, please.
Doctor, Do you know what a micron is, doctor?
Yeah, I remember when viral pneumonia darn near took my life, and Jack the Ripper used to come through my hospital room to take my blood. I'm like, where's the small needles, man? Anyway, we'll get back into your product. We like to have a lot of fun, and we'll probably get off course a lot during this conversation. And we're going to get into the HAINBUCH product, and we're going to talk on a sophisticated level for those out there who want to know more about the product. We're obviously talking marketing today, which I think is important. So going back to marketing, I have 2 questions, and I'll start with the first one. 2000, you said, was your first IMTS. What was it like then compared to now? Because I've heard rumors, that wasn't my first. I think my first was around 2012. But I heard rumors that pre-internet days, and maybe 2000 isn't pre-internet days, but pre-internet days, people would come into the trade shows, bring their prints, have discussions about how to make them, and that's why the trade shows were 2 weeks instead of 1 week, and they keep shrinking and shrinking down. Less people are going, even though we're trying to excite people because you can find so much information on the internet now. But it used to be one of those powerful things where you look at each other, you talk about prints, you find a deal, you buy a machine that day, maybe you shake hands and you move on. What was it like from your experience from then to now?
Things are awesome. Better than they could have ever been. I don't know.
Right? Like the first day you're like, this is cool. Second day you're like, this is really cool. Third, and it just gets better and better with the more data that it gets.
And so I think the future is going to be really bright for you. And I think our next phase is going to be talking about growth.
And we're really, really excited to see where this is going to go.
Not so much the prints. I see that actually a little bit more
Do
recently.
you see prints?
In certain industries, like the gear industry, they will bring projects in.
We
You
did
know,
just do Motion and Power, didn't
yes,
we?
yes, we did. And that one is a very, very fun show to do because they come in with a purpose. You might get more people into another booth or another show, but that one...
Less tire kickers
yes,
at the gear
right.
shows.
So I think the biggest difference is just the simple innovation, and you see more and more automation. There wasn't a whole lot back then. You know, it was just kind of starting out. But I think just the superior machines and productivity improvements that you noticed from 2002 to when I came back into it, 2012. So it was only a 12-year span, but you could see the difference.
It's fascinating
It
how
really
quick
is.
it's growing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's another one of my conversations, sticking to the marketing topic, is technology is moving so quickly right now, and it moves quickly in all aspects, whether it be our cell phones and our iPads or the cars that we're driving and what's inside for technology. But certainly in our world, we're making all of that stuff, so we have to keep up as well. I almost find it, if someone is not utilizing YouTube or LinkedIn or websites at this point, and no offense to trade shows, we absolutely love you. We're going to attend. We're going to support you always, and trade shows remain important. But if you're only doing trade shows with technology advancements as quick as it's going right now, you might get to a trade show and get lost. And keeping up with the digital age right now to find all these videos that like you and I create
Right.
together, so important. Would you agree with that?
Oh, gosh, 100%. I think I told you, maybe it was yesterday when we were talking, the single greatest decision I ever made in marketing was hiring Sharon, my digital marketing
Yes.
manager.
Shout out to her, by the way. She's amazing.
Sharon, she's my right-hand person. She's amazing. And it without it, I don't know where we would be. I know our brand awareness would not be where it is right now. It is a vital part of your marketing plan. Digital. I still think print is extremely important in North America. That has to be an important part of it. Trade shows have to be a part. I mean, so you have to really start to look at where your budget's at and spread it around pretty evenly with a consistent message.
I'm going to talk to you about print real quick, because sitting from my generation and the younger generations, I don't think they see the value quite as much. With that being said, we have the most popular magazine in all of the UK through MTD.
Yeah.
So we definitely believe in print as a company, as a marketing agency. We believe in print. But sitting where I sit, I would make the discussion that I spend 5% of my time on print and 95% of my time elsewhere when I'm learning about things. Yep. So I would love to hear your description of where and how print can be the most beneficial still to this day for all generations.
I think I lump trade publications into print and digital versions. And I think more and more are going to the digital versions. I get both because I still like to page through it. I think my generation still likes to look at that and turn a page and see, oh, there's our ad, or there's our story, or something about a satisfied customer. So I still think it's a very vital part. A couple of years ago, I read a survey where I think the web was still the number one. Websites were still the number one source for getting information on machine tools and accessories. And I believe print was second and trade shows were third. Now, I don't know how much that's changed, and I don't even know where digital came in, like the social media aspect, but that was probably 2 or 3 years ago, maybe right around COVID when I saw that. So I think COVID really catapulted social media.
In our industry, for sure.
Yes.
Because we are incredibly traditional. Not in every other industry.
Right.
Fashion's had it
Right.
for forever, you know, and the people who are selling commercial products have had it forever. But in our industry, yeah, there was a massive reconfiguration of what would work and people were running trying to figure it out. You know, wait, do we do webinars right now? And then everyone's doing webinars.
Right.
Well, we're out of webinars because nobody's showing up anymore. What do we do next?
Yeah,
And
email blast, and then you're getting bombarded with, and it's like, God, we're part of that same thing. It's like, I look at I subscribe to that, delete.
Yeah,
It's like,
unsubscribe, please.
Yeah, so it's like, even though you know you're getting it and you asked for it, it's still, I don't, a lot of times I don't take the time because everybody's got time. When I get 35 emails every morning and there's things I subscribe to, it's like, oh, when am I going to read this? So you have to be so concise. The whole point is to be so concise about your message and what you want people to remember about you. That is what it's about. It's a noisy world out there. We're talking about IMTS, it's going back to that. There's a lot of noise out there. And when you go through, can I tell a story real quick?
yeah, you may. Of course you may. That's the whole point of a podcast, Mike.
yeah.
That's why we have all this time. Tell all the stories you want.
So there was last year's sales meeting. I wanted to make a point about, being remembered. So I think we had 15 sales guys in our meeting, and Sharon was with me, and she was writing down these answers. And I said, I want to go around the table and give me one word, what you want people to remember us about at IMTS. One word, and once somebody says it, you can't use it again. So we went around.
Well, for limited vocabulary like me, I better go first. I mean, if I was at the end of the table, I'd run out of words to use.
The swearing started after like the third word. And we went around and everybody said I think the last guy said sexy, and I said, okay. And I said, okay, this is here for a reason. Now, we handed out a little card for everybody. Now in 1 minute, I'm going to give you 1 minute, write down as many of those words that everybody said that you can remember. And after a minute up, and then we had a prize for whoever guessed the most. I even said, you guys all get sexy. If anybody gets sexy,
everyone remembered sexy, yeah.
So, and 6 won. People with 15 words, somebody remembered
And 6 won.
And usually there was somewhere that were 2 and 3. They couldn't remember. I said, now think about going to IMTS, and you're in with somebody in your booth, they're in your booth, and then they walk around and they see 15 other booths throughout the day. What do they do to remember us? We need something for them. Changing on our display, changing a chuck on our display. Something that you can, when you call them, you can go back and say, hey, remember you did this? Yes. Otherwise, how do they remember?
Mike, that's one of the more profound statements, and I couldn't agree more. I think Christian probably agrees as well, and maybe sexy is the one thing we should remember all the time, right? But you're right. If there are 10 companies doing similar-ish things, right? And I'm doing air quotes for people who are listening right now and not watching, but similar-ish. And you pick 6 out of 15. We've all played that game where you whisper something in the person's ear and you whisper it goes around the room and it's completely different. So there's distractions and static all the time. Mm-hmm. How do you become that memorable company at the end of a trade show when there's 10,000, 5,000 different booths, and a good 10 of those are your competition, but they're not just there to see you. They also want to see coolant and cutting tools and machine monitoring, ERP, and machine tools themselves. And then there's a list of importance for each one. How do we become important in their mind?
Yeah, I think it starts way, way before IMTS.
It does.
I don't want to give away anything.
Or any trade show.
Yeah, I know, it does. It really does. And what we are really successful with is getting people, gosh, I shouldn't say this, but when is this going to come out? But it is... My goal, and Sharon and I, we talk about this a lot. What do we do to drive people to put us on their show planner? On their show planner, get us on their show planner. Then it's written down. They're going to find their way to get to us, and they're coming to us for a reason. Now we have to give them a reason. Still need to give them a reason to come there, And I don't like using cliches in all my marketing, and it's hard not to. Downtime, productivity, all these things.
Flexibility,
It's like,
the buzzwords, the hashtags.
Yep. So it's like, how do you stay away from cliches? Because it's out there everywhere. So you have to have something that strikes an emotion too. a pain point. I know these are also cliches, but you have to do that, and you have to hammer it over and over and over till they understand, hey, let's just go see what they're about. Or they come through, and at one point they're going to have this pain. Maybe they don't have it now, but dude, wait a minute, didn't that HAINBUCH chuck? Couldn't we add a mandrel to this that would solve this problem? Whatever. So once they hit that pain, then they remember us too. So it's some subliminal stuff, but yeah, and it's a consistent message from everybody in the organization. We're all wearing HAINBUCH on our shirts. Every interaction with a customer is a branding opportunity.
You got red HAINBUCH shoes on today, by the way.
I'm trying to sell it for a time. I'm trying to sell it, but
I want to step back to what we were talking about with the written word and 6 out of 15 and bring up the idea, which has been around for a long time, but kind of new to manufacturing, which is influencers / thought leaders, depending on what a person wants to be called. Some people consider being an influencer an insult. I'm not sure that it is. Sometimes I feel insulted by it. I'm not sure that it is. I'd prefer to be called a thought leader, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to do our best to create awareness for something, right? So what went through my head when you were describing that is, if I have a text and I'm reading this text, and maybe when I'm reading this text, they say that we absorb about 15% of that when we read an entire paragraph or page of information, right? And they say that we absorb more in video. But the point I want to make is, what if an influencer that we found to be entertaining was reading that text or providing a video? Don't we find connections with certain thought leaders and influencers that make whatever message that we're trying to create even more profound just because we enjoy their cadence or enjoy their spirit or whatever it might be? Even if it's the same bloody information here and here sitting next to each other, we will receive it better one way than another way.
yes, and there's a reason I metaphorically tackled you through the phone when I first saw that you were coming aboard, because I saw the writing on the wall and I knew this guy's going to be big. And I think it's vital. Again, there's so many things. You can just see everything I say vital so much, but it is. There's so many important steps to this. And I just really appreciate how you took some of our things from our first discussion we ever had when we talked about rigidity. And you ran with that for at least a year or so. And rightfully so. And I was like, thank you. That's what it is about. It's like rigidity, rigidity, rigidity. And as you talked about, what does that do? Better surface finishes, longer tool life. It's like less scrap, faster feeds and speeds. I'm not a person I'm really switching gears, and that's the way I do it, but that's going to tell a machinist how to run a machine. I've never run a machine. Of course, I'm not going to be arrogant enough to think I can make his job better. Well, I could make his job better, but I can because I know what I know about the HAINBUCH system and the HAINBUCH work holding. That verbally is always much better. And I think, I don't know, I would have called you an influencer, but until you said,
it's okay. I've been called worse. You can call me whatever you want.
I think it just came to my mind when you said that. It's like, I never really thought about it like that. But yeah, I mean, you provoked my thoughts on that one. So
I want to take this subject, and you mentioned just now, I would never tell a machinist what to do. And we probably shouldn't. They're on the machine. Even though I ran machines for 12 years, I've run over 100 of them. I've managed 3 major companies and was considered a top tier machinist during my time. I wouldn't do it. Even if I was a machinist right now, I would have a conversation maybe.
Yeah.
But the point of that is that maybe the point of marketing when it comes to what we can do for people, because manufacturing doesn't truly understand where marketing can help. There's still a lot of people out there in manufacturing who doubt marketing, and we've seen the success of it, right?
Yeah.
I think and you can agree or disagree or expand on what I'm about to say, but one of the biggest things I've seen is a sales guy will come up to me and say something like, the videos we did together, when I went into a shop to explain what we needed how we could help them, they looked at me and said, we've already seen your video. We know how it works. What's your lead time? What's your cost? Yeah. Whereas they used to have to go in all the time. And let me tell you, kind of what we did in the beginning of this podcast. What can you do? What have you done for me lately? All right. Sorry, I get into songs sometimes. But it goes into, we used to spend 30 minutes or an hour going through a PowerPoint going, this is what we can do. Here's our products. And now we can walk in and say, here's what we can do. Do you think that's the real connection between where marketing helps in manufacturing? And maybe you do or don't. And if you do, what other parts do you think we bring the greatest benefit in manufacturing?
I think I try to really pick the brains of a couple go-to sources. One is
Dalai Lama.
Okay.
No, they weren't going to say that, were you?
Close. Dean Winkle.
Close, very close.
Yeah, and he and I, because he's another brilliant guy that I work with, but he's out there and he really understands what the customer's looking for. So when I'm thinking of marketing, and he'll look at this and he'll look at what I'm proposing, he said, "What do you think of this? I'm thinking of this idea," and he says, "The guys I talk to, this is what they're thinking." Or something, to that effect. So we have a conversation about what he hears out there. So at least I know and where we can go with some of this stuff and what messages might resonate more than others. So sometimes I think I have these great ideas, and I come in there and it's shot down so fast. And it's like,
Thought about that all night. Couldn't even sleep. I was so excited about that one.
So, yeah. Then there's other sources, the sales guys. I will talk to them. There's, because depending on the type of product we're trying to market, and now that we get more brand awareness, we can start to branch out a little bit and show some of our other stuff. And one of the things I don't think gets across enough is custom engineered solutions. That is where we're really heading. That's where we're strongest. And we have a team of just brilliant engineers, both in Germantown and in Marbach. And when you see what they're working on, like even the R&D department, and if they opened the doors for me, first time they didn't. So you're in awe of what they're trying to do. And I think that's where we're strongest. But how do you get that across? So that's my next challenge, is how do you get a message that we can hold your challenges? If you have some really holding challenges, you're struggling with holding something, give us a call, type of stuff. So
let's talk about that. So now we've segued, we've learned about you, we've talked about marketing. Let's talk HAINBUCH.
Yeah.
I've been to Germany. You've been to Germany. It's incredible. The people are friendly. The product is top notch. I've talked with your customers. I've had the great privilege to travel around the country interviewing some folks from Silencer Co. to VAC. Shout out to Tony. By the way, I'm getting ready to come see him again.
Yes.
Got a cool project going on again.
RW Screw.
RW Screw, one of the more fascinating hydromat machines that had, correct me if I'm wrong, 12 stations.
Yes, 12.
And they could switch out all of your products in like half an hour or less, which used to take days, if not weeks, to do. And it was taking a product that was, including setup and breakdown time, used to take them weeks. Now it's not an exaggeration, but the full truth is the cycle time of cutting the part was smaller than that, but the setup and breakdown time of their older machines took them weeks to do, and they were popping parts off. Oh gosh, Bill Reeder, you're gonna have to correct me if you're listening to this. Like 13 seconds, like every 13 seconds, a part was popping off, right?
Yep.
It was crazy, the amount of success and the importance for something like a hydromat machine that has 12 stations and they're doing it. It's like having 12 CNCs in one. The importance of that is the reliability of the products inside the machine to go along with the machine.
Yeah. Do you remember you called me?
I do. I was so excited when I left that one. I was like, holy cow.
You called me and said, I've never heard this before from a non-sales guy.
Yeah, it was, I did. So for the audience, I filmed this one for Mike, and we were at RW Screw, and as soon as I left, I gave Mike a call and I said, dude, this is one of the best stories I've ever heard because of the true amount of cycle time reduction by investing in the right technology.
Yep.
So I think I've given you enough ammo at this point. Let's talk HAINBUCH for a few minutes and what you guys do, and let's talk at a high level. Let's talk, because we've already broken it down. We hold material and we turn it into things. So let's talk at a high level and say, look, if you're looking for work holding out there, the added rigidity, the quick change, the automation that you guys have invested in, let's talk about that right now.
Yeah.
I really love the fact that you guys have turned this business around.
Being ambitious and having the ambitions that I have, I didn't want to be here forever and not be a part of this.
I
know this is important, I fully support it, but there's moments where I'm like, I want to be important too.
Would you take 5 days off?
Just about. I really left half day Friday and got back Thursday, so almost a full week.
You know, you meet these guys, you do an onboarding session, you start working with them, you start the coaching process, and then we call our friends. Us, along with all these people, are coming around this team to make sure they're going to be successful.
So I want to hear all of their stories. Do you think we could head over there?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I want to start with what I call, and I don't know if I ever told you this, our Centrex ring, the vulcanized rubber ring.
You've told me that it's your secret sauce, and
Yes.
nobody can know about that patented technology.
It's I call it the heart of HAINBUCH
Yes.
because our quick change all has that. It's a rubberized, vulcanized. It's like a rubber ring with some bearings in it, and when that pulls back, it gives the bearings just a little bit of wiggle room, so it comes in 0 point for the most part. And that is why we can change over our adaptations. That is why we can use our Centratex system to change over complete chuck systems. I don't know much more detail on that, but basically you can change a chuck over in, depending on the size of the spindle, 5 minutes or less, sometimes a minute or less. And now we're taking that Centratex and Centrex ring, that vulcanized ring technology, and moving it into automation where we're going to be actually switching over work holding devices robotically. And we are going to be showing that at IMTS. And that is the future. I mean, because that's always been, you can change over all you want with parts and robotics, but what if you want to do an op 20 now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now we can do that op 20, put it in a mandrel. Now you can do some OD clamping by switching over.
I can personally attest to doing OD-ID as simple as that and taking 30 minutes to 3 hours, depending on how well my chuck was working in my machine that day, switching it out. And I personally also spent time on your booth switching one out in about 30 seconds.
Yes.
And what blows my mind about this technology is I used to have to put my chuck on, and then I would spin it slowly. I'd have my whatever preferred measuring device that said company had that I was working for, and I had to make sure that it was concentric, because if I didn't, for someone like Christian who's listening right now, if I didn't, my entire machine would vibrate. And if it wasn't bolted to the floor, it would start walking across the floor if you don't. And you can do that with the HAINBUCH product in seconds to minutes, and that's fascinating.
It's ready to go within microns.
Yeah, and that's so powerful.
It really is. So we're excited about that. We're excited to get into the automation things. Also, some of our IQ chuck, which now we can measure, you know, so they can on the go diameters, RPMs, temperature, so all these things. And we had this chuck before Industry 4.0 was the thing, and it was ahead of its time. It sat collecting dust in Marbach, and all of a sudden, hey, let's bring this back out. And now we're doing some ID clamping with it. We got some mandrels. So I like to say that we were like Jeopardy. So we were the answer before the question was ever asked.
Clever. I see why you're in marketing.
Write that down.
Well, we're watching Van Wilder now. Write that down.
Huge fan.
Can we talk about that technology that you just brought up, by the way?
IQ chuck.
IQ chuck. And I remember this is Al's baby, right?
Yes.
He loves this.
I think he carries one in his pocket.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
So let's dive a little, you gave a couple of highlights.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that technology a little bit, because while I'm fascinated by it, and while I've interviewed Al on the technology itself, I still don't think I fully grasp its capabilities, because it is one of those ones that, as you say, there's the answer before a question.
Yeah.
And we're still trying to figure out, wait, that's a thing? You can actually do that? So can we talk about that subject a little bit more? Would you mind?
Yeah, sure. I think it's just what I said. I mean, it can take a part and it will understand if it's the right part, the right diameter. It can give feedback, real-time feedback, as it's turning to, you know, where it's at, the RPMs, the temperature, you know, how it's cutting. You know,
in real time,
in
all
real
in real
time.
time.
In real time, yes, in real time. So. You know, I think we're going to try doing some demonstrations. I don't know if we'll get it for IMTS or not, but I think we're going to have at least something on the automation that will show a little bit of this. So, honestly, Al's the guy to talk to for this.
And we'll be at your booth for IMTS, right?
Yes, you
We're
will.
going to make sure people know about this.
Yep, I was on that like a fat kid on a cupcake. I got you right away.
We
so.
just had a Claire's.
By the way, that was another Van Wilder line.
Yes, it was. Great movie. Great movie. I have 2 questions left for you, and then we're going to play a couple of games, all right? The first question is, how has your VIP experience been? Can you tell the audience about what it's like? You had a driver pick you up, right?
Yes. You took care of everything. I mean, it was all set up. All I did is check in online, and then I get there and Carmen was waiting for me, texted her. She picks me up at the airport.
With a smile, I think. She's so friendly.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
She's just wonderful. So engaging, and I love her story, too. I know her whole story.
Yeah.
So, and really, because I asked questions, I was very, very curious, to this beautiful hotel that I'm looking at the bay, I think I'm close to the ocean, but it's just a beautiful view, patio doors and a balcony. Take me to a wonderful dinner last night, and I think we really dove into some really fun topics.
We did. Well, wine will do that, right?
Oh, yes.
A good meal and a bottle of wine brings up all sorts of conversations.
It was, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you've done for me. And I was making the joke, if I'm down here, what does the I stand for in VIP? I wasn't really sure, but you treated me like like royalty. And I do appreciate it because it's an honor to be here.
So we're going to call it a VRP from now on. Very royal person.
Oh, okay. Very royal experience.
That's
too hard to say.
We're going to make our new acronyms. We're going to call it something else from here on out, I think. I'm going to have to change all these shirts I made. Oh, man, we're in trouble. All right, the second question I want to ask you is not really a question. It's more of a statement. But, Christian, if you could zoom in on this super dope piece that's on our table right now. And for everyone who's listening and not watching, firstly, go to YouTube and get off of Spotify real quick because you're going to want to see this. But if you cannot get onto YouTube, this is Thor's hammer. And what's the hammer called, Mike?
Mjolnir. It's unpronounceable.
And this bad boy, it's unpronounceable. It has HAINBUCH engraved. I mean, I was using it to lift weights this morning, actually, and it is everything you'd want a replica. Maybe it's real. I mean, I don't know if I'm worthy. It actually has an engraving on here. It says, "Tony Gunn, you are officially worthy." I'll take it. I will definitely take it. Has HAINBUCH America on here as well. But it is legit. It's legit. I can end the sentence right there. It is absolutely.
You can hear it.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a solid piece. So thank you for that. What a gift. Then this will be on every single show moving forward from here on out.
Love it. It's branding. But I think it just came to me because our discussions, we joke around when we're talking, when we meet at trade shows, and we talk about our mutual Nordic and Norwegian heritage. So I presented that to you as a family heirloom. I don't know if you remember me saying that. But,
of course, yes.
Which bent the truth a little bit, but I just when I thought of it, I said, "Oh, I think this could be a good gift for Tony."
And it is. It's my favorite. I hope that's not offensive to all these other wonderful gifts that we have on the table. And thank you all. If you keep sending them in, we'll keep talking about them. We'll pop them on the table. I actually want to do something, and I wasn't expecting to do this, and I hope it's honorable to you as well with this wonderful gift and our Norwegian, Scandinavian background. But if you look behind you, if you could grab that pin for me. Yep. Well, not the pin, the whole case. Yep. And for everyone who's listening, it's actually John Grimsmo's. He sells $300 pins, and he himself is of Norwegian descent, and it's all Viking stuff, and he has the $1,000 knives that go along with it. So shout out to John Grimsmo. John, you may also like this Thor's hammer that's sitting here right now. We're gonna have to talk about that. John has a great podcast with John Grimsmo, and John Saunders have a wonderful podcast as well. Okay. Both excellent human beings. So yeah, we got some Norwegian stuff lining up here. That's really cool. You ready to play some games?
I'll give it an effort.
All right. The first one that I never get right, Christian can attest to this, is 2 truths and a lie. I've never gotten one right. Again, for the audience listening and watching, leave comments. Please leave comments. Tell me how dumb I am. I don't care. I don't get offended. The guys tell me how everyone's making fun of me if I do something wrong, and they don't tell me about the compliments, though. So if I make a bad guess and you would have guessed better, leave it in the comments. I'm fine with it. I have a great confidence about me at this point, knowing that I'm wrong so often. So, Mike, 2 truths and a lie. I actually had someone tell me 2 lies and a truth not too long ago, and that wasn't fair at all. I think Christian got it right, though. Did you get, no? Were you wrong on that one, too? But Christian, I'm gonna let Christian guess too because I like to get him involved. So two truths, and one lie, Mike.
2 truths.
No, you don't have to do it in that order because then I can guess it.
Oh, that's pretty easy. When I was 18 years old, maybe I was 19, I was hunting. You know, I like to deer hunt. We were kind of out with some friends the night before and kind of were in a rush the next morning, so we didn't really eat much. And we were drinking a little bit the night before, but I was up in my tree stand and things started to go around in circles. And I ended up passing out.
In the tree stand? Like up in a tree?
15 feet up in the air.
Bloody hell.
Just remember just throwing my bow and arrow and woke up with my face in the dirt. Fractured 3 vertebrae. So that's one. The other one
this
is...
seems real. Christian,
one-
that was way too...
That's way too descriptive.
Yeah, that was real.
That's got to be real. Unless they're all that. We'll wait for
Yeah, if the other two are equally as descriptive, I'll be screwed again, right?
I have 3 design patents for fishing reels.
Huh.
So, you know, I'm an avid fisherman. My wife's an avid fisherman, and I see ways to make things better. So I have 3 design patents for fishing reels.
I'm screwed again.
The other one is I won a watermelon seed spitting contest in college, but I cheated.
Wait. A watermelon spitting competition?
Yes.
That's the game?
It was in college.
Stop it.
Yeah.
A fraternity or what?
It was in the cafeteria. It was like an event they had, and I was like, well, okay. So me and my buddy rigged it up where I would be the guy spitting, but I didn't put a seed in my mouth, and he was kind of about 10 feet down, and he just flicked one down. We thought it would be noticed. Nobody noticed, and then they gave me the prize. I don't even remember what it was, but we cheated and we won. So those are my 3 stories.
Which one's a lie? It's the middle one, right?
sure, yeah.
The first 2 were so detailed. It's got to be the middle one.
It has to be.
The middle one's a lie.
No.
Stop! Which one's a lie?
It was my brother that fell out of the tree.
Oh, that was good.
Well done.
Gotcha.
You got us good.
Well
Great
done.
job.
Yeah, that was awesome. Good job.
I was so stressed because there's no way you can break your hitless streak on me. So,
But you have 3 patents.
yeah, I did.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
What's unique about these?
And it probably fell flat on its face, but they were all in the shape of like sport helmets, like a little fish, like a football, like a little helmet,
Yeah.
you know, reel and baseball and NASCAR. So the crank comes out of the ear hole or whatever.
Does that make you a Green Bay fan as well, living where you live?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm a Packer fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I told you that. I grew up on Lombardi time, which is if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late.
All right. Well, next game is going to be Would You Rather. I'm going to read the first one just so you know how this game goes. And I actually have 40 different ones. So I'm just going to have you pick like your favorite numbers throughout 2 through 40. But the first one, which we're not going to do, is would you rather invest more in traditional advertising like billboards and print or digital marketing, SEO, social media for your manufacturing business? So would you rathers? Yeah?
Yeah.
What's your first favorite number?
8.
8. All right. Would you rather run a controversial marketing campaign that gets lots of attention or a safe campaign that doesn't get noticed?
Oh, I'm on the edge for controversial.
You're living on the edge?
Oh, I would love to. So sometimes you can't, but I would definitely,
Especially with a German company.
You're right. I mean, that's fine. It's not, if it's my business and stuff, I want to get out there. I want to get, because what's the first rule of advertising? Grab attention,
Yeah.
even if it's controversial.
Right. And even though I made that joke, I've spent a lot of time with Germans. You have a better sense of humor than the world gives you credit for.
they
You
do.
have wonderful humor. You're
Yes.
freaking phenomenal. All right. Second favorite number.
22.
22 it is. Would you rather have a large following on a less relevant social media platform or a small following on a highly relevant social media platform?
Actually, I think that's pretty true right now.
This is the story of your life?
Oh, wow.
You're like, I dominate Facebook. Everyone loves me.
LinkedIn, nothing. I think I would rather have a smaller following on a more, on a larger platform.
Yeah.
I think because there's always room for growth.
That's
And
that's
it
a good
challenges-
point.
Yeah, challenge you a little bit to do a little bit better.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said for having a large following on a less significant
Yeah,
one,
there
but
is.
I think I agree with you as well.
Yeah.
And because I think you made the perfect point. You can put in a little work and see what happens.
Maybe I should try that on LinkedIn.
We're both doing it together. We're both doing it together. All right. Next favorite number.
23.
All right. 23. Would you rather have your product packaging win design awards or have it be highly functional but plain?
Oh, now if I'm the business owner, I want it to be highly functional. But if it's me designing it, I want that award.
Oh, you want your cake and eat it
Oh,
too.
yes, I do.
You want that design award.
I have an ego. Let's not be,
It's up to the engineers to make it work. It's up to us to make it look good.
yes. So here, this will win an award. No.
All right,
Don't screw it up.
we're going to move on to the last game of the day as we only have a little bit of time left, which is rapid fire. We're just going to go through these. First thing that pops into your mind. For example, which we won't do, number 1 is email marketing or social media.
Okay.
And then you just, whatever comes out first. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Influencer partnerships or celebrity endorsements?
Influencers, partnerships,
Content marketing or direct advertising?
content.
Virtual reality product demos or traditional product demos?
Oh, virtual reality is something that's so cool.
Yeah. Print advertising in industry magazines or online banner ads?
I still like print.
Organic reach or paid promotions?
Organic.
Customer testimonials or professional product reviews?
Customer testimonials.
And you are off the hot seat, my friend. I appreciate you. Just cheers to you. I don't have any toast prepared, but I just want to say thank you for joining me today, Mike. I hope you've had a good time.
Had a great time.
Yeah, we have a wonderful studio audience today. They have been amazing with the smiles and the chuckles in the background. So let's go ahead and close this thing out. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. As we wrap up another riveting episode, I call it riveting. I hope you guys do as well. Another riveting episode of the Gun Show VIP edition. I want to extend a heartfelt thanks to you, our listeners. In a world where the only non-renewable resource is time, your decision to spend some of it with us is deeply, deeply appreciated. And I mean that. Our journey towards reshoring manufacturing is not just an economic necessity. It's a testament to American tenacity and vision, proving that when we unite for a common goal, we can turn the tide. Remember, every piece manufactured in the USA is a step towards a future where quality and innovation lead the way. Thank you for joining us in this crucial conversation. Let's keep the momentum going because the future of American manufacturing is not just in our hands, it's also in our hearts. Together, we can rebuild, reimagine, and reignite the industry that powers America. Until next time, keep making a difference, one innovation at a time.